Didn't get the house on auction yesterday. But then there's another house up for auction here in a few weeks on the 2nd of April. And it's like, whoa, then we're going to go bid on that one, right? It has an amazing layout, right? And whoa, we just need to remember that every bad decision starts with a good idea. The guy last time he bought it on auction on the 1st of July 2021. He bought it for 350,000 Danish crowns, so that's around 50,000 US. And then the local government came out and inspected the house on the 18th of August at 9 o'clock. And then on the 2nd of December 2021, they said, this house is dead. And then it got condemned. But on the positive flip side, then they offered him to get a 2-room apartment instead. Anyways, let's talk about this house and why it's a bad idea. When I start looking at the things, then the first thing is I would when I'm looking at this house, I would look at the sales proposition and look why who put it on auction and what are the prices, what are the debt in the property, so maybe I can take over the debt and stuff like that. So when I look at it, I can see here that there's a debt for 350,000. So the guy who bought it for the around 70,000 US dollars, he got a 100% financing. So that is pretty cool. So he bid 350,000 on the property, and then he got 100% financing. The only bad thing here is that so he's paying 10% interest rate. The thing to note here is that it's not the people who owe money for this debt that has sent the house on auction, and they haven't really participated in giving any numbers. So that is a little bit confusing. But when we look at it, it's actually the insurance company who sent the property on auction, and we kind of don't know why they did that. But it's something with the fire insurance that is the reason why it's on auction. So when we look at it with the debt thing, then we can see that there's a debt for insurance for fire insurance law for 52,711 crowns. So it's a little bit unclear why that is, but I'm going to go and look at the property on the 1st of April, so a day before it goes on auction, and then I'm going to ask what it is. Is the property burned down? So if we look at the historic sales prices, then we can see that it was sold on the 30th of October at 1995 for 420,000 Danish crowns. Then it was sold again in 2012 on auction. So it was an auction, foreclosure auction, for 395,000. Then the guy 3 years later thought okay, I'm going to give up, and then he sold the house again for 450,000. Then the guy who bought it in 2015 had it in for 6 years. Then in 2021, then it went on auction and was sold to the current owner for 350,000. So what I'm going to look a little bit about is the financing and can we renovate the property within a timeline of 6 months? Is that even possible? The other day I was talking about when I was bidding on an auction, I would always plan what is my maximum bid. So the other day I was saying so the plan was to bid 1 crown, then the other guy bid 20,000, then I bid 30,000, he bid 40,000, then I bid 50,000, and this was my maximum. So the other day it sort of died here, right? Because I had my maximum. I was saying I could make it into a good business, and I could remove the condemnation of that property within 6 months with this number. But I'm not going to pay, even though it's only $1,300 more, right? No. We have a standard, and then we stick to that, and that was a cutoff here. With this property, I would not bid the 50,000. I would not bid 40,000. I would not bid 30,000. I would not bid 20,000. I would not even bid 1 crown. So what happens on an auction in Denmark if no one bids 1 crown? The thing is that then you would start, then the bid would be 0, and then you would go in and then you would actually start bidding into the 100,000 instead. So that is the thing you would bid into. And then when you're looking at that, then you can actually, like, that's where the story of, like, you can get a house for like 1 crown or like 13 cents in Denmark, and it has happened. Anyways, I'll talk a little bit more about why I actually sort of like kind of need to get paid to get this property. Look at, like, the first thing is like the standards, right? So if we look at the standards, right? So I have like a standard that says, like, when I'm looking at a property, I would buy it if the price is right. But you have like the name of like our company, and the YouTube channel is like Siggy Silence I Kill You, right? STFU, right? If the price is right. So the numbers will never lie, right? So when we look at like our spreadsheets and we look at like the potential of this property, if I just dump it in, right, then the property value, because of the, like, there's a risk with the location, then I have a like maximum on the property value, right? Then I have the rental income. So the rental income, I should be able to get like a decent rental income if I did some things and stuff to this property. But when I look at the renovation cost, like the cost to remove the condemnation, including the timeline, then it will simply be too expensive in order to get the rental income I want, and like the property value will not follow the cost of the renovation. So and I have some constraints too with this property, right? So one of the constraints is like I don't think I can afford to pay the renovation. Like, it will take me a lot of time. I do have the knowledge, right? But I don't want to do this myself, right? So there's like a lot of risk here, right? So the risk with the market is not like, so if you put too much money into this property, it's not worth it. The house type has some risks associated with it. The location has some risk. The financing, if you spend too much money because of the location and because of the property value, then you will not be able to do the thing. So I was talking about that in another video. I was talking a little bit more about Warren Buffett and Carl Icahn. Talk about is that, like, if I want to make the investment, I would look at the return on investment should be like 100% within 2 years, right? So that again means that we have very few houses that match. And when we look at this house, then and the many houses, then they're like below the floor, right? So like below the standard, so we can't really bid on this house. But this house is like so far down there. Usually I would use my spreadsheets and look at the numbers in the spreadsheets, but like I could already see, like I didn't have to spend more than like 10 minutes on this case before like I decided that it kind of sucks. But if we look at the financing, then I put up just on loan calculator for the video. Like, so he has a loan for 350,000. There's 10% interest, and I'm assuming it's like a 20-year loan. So that means every month he needs to pay 3,377 Danish crowns, and that actually means that the rent, there's some tax stuff too, right? So that means like this one you can, the interest rate you can deduct in tax, but the principal you need to pay tax on, right? So that means like you need to earn more money so you can pay some tax before you pay the principal. And the longer you own the property, the more the principal goes up and the interest goes down. So that means like you need to earn more money in order to pay the tax. And you can't really eat the bricks. It's not like you go down to McDonald's and you're like, yeah, I have a brick, can I get a burger? No, you're not going to get a burger for your brick, right? So you need to make sure that the rent you can charge for the house is above what you're paying for the loan, right? Plus the cost, plus the maintenance, plus the stuff, right? And already there I can see that with this number, like it can be done, but it's kind of like makes it hard, right? And that's probably why, like, again, like they condemnated the house, but that is one of the reasons why it's on auction. It's like a pretty expensive hobby. So the thing was that there was like an inspection of the house. So the house has like 140 square meters, and they said like there were found things that was like very close to like has like a very high health hazard. So some of the things they were finding were like stuff like this. So there's a little bit of the mold in the walls here, right? Looks very nice. But then the wife was like, "Oh, Pelle, but the bathroom is just so nice, right? Whoa, and it looks very cool, right? There's like a towel hanger and like it looks very nice, right? There's a nice lamp there too, right? new door, right? But then the guy Eric, who was doing the inspection, he was like, oh, but there's a bag with water bottles. So he's assuming that the water for the shower comes from water bottles. So sometimes these people who make the reports are kind of like crazy, right? So he's like, then he said it here that like there are bottle caps here, so he thinks the water comes from a water bottle and not from the shower. Anyways, he had a ball, and then he put the ball, and then the ball was like showing that the angle of the floor goes away from the drain, and that is like that is a problem, right? So when I look at that is actually a huge problem, right? So it's like you're going out to the city, you're getting drunk, and you're like finding some like pretty girl or like handsome guy, right? And then then it's sick, right? So this bathroom is sick, right? So when you so there's like problems that comes with this thing that we can notice here, right? So the thing is that when the water doesn't go into the drain, then there are probably other problems with whoever made this, right? So that can lead to like mold or like STD, right? So we don't want STD, right? And we don't want properties with STD, right? Even though it looks very pretty, right? Then in the morning, then we might feel sick, right? Then I was noticing that there's like this mold thing in one of the living rooms, right? Usually, like if it's on the top, I'm like, okay, we can probably fix that. That's a hole in the roof, and we can see here that it's like the roof is sort of hanging inside this living room. The problem I have is that when I look at the layout, right, then the room with the hanging ceiling is this one. So it's this living room, and that's in on the base floor, right? So that means like these three rooms are on top, and in these three you can't see any. There's the water damage I showed, the mold, but on the floor you can't see any damages, right? So there's nothing that indicates that the water comes from the ceiling here, right? So that means that it has to be the section that is separating the living room from the first floor where the problem is. So that means that there's probably one of the heating pipes with the heating water for the house that is broken in between this and the first floor, right? And that is causing this water damage, right? So that can be like quite expensive, right? So these are just examples, and then there are like some crazy remarks in the electrical report too, like with the water bottle thing, right? Probably using water bottles to shower, and then there's like it's missing the outside piece, the light bulb, right? So there's like fire hazard, and he has like this one fire hazard, right? Because the light bulb is missing, and there's like missing the outside thing. Anyways, so when I look at this, right, and I have to make like a guesstimation of the cost, right, which I could do within like 10 minutes, right? So you have the electrical installation, right? So that in Danish crowns, that would be like 50,000 Danish crowns. So that is like 7,000 USD. I would say that as a minimum to get an electrician to fix the electrical. Then we would need to change the heat source because the heat source is broken. Like one of the things we can't really get around is that like we would need to change the heat source. That is one of the things to remove the condemnation, right? And then we would need to buy the air pump, right? Which like in Denmark is like one water to air pump, which in Denmark is like 150,000 Danish crowns because it needs to be a fairly big one, but that is like $21,000. And then we have the problem that I'm thinking that like the pipes for the water to put it around the house is broken, right? So like we have like the entire separation needs probably to change, and water have been running down through into the walls in the base floor. Then because you have the water pump, then it might be a good idea to install like solar panels. Then on a good day you could get it for like 80,000 Danish crowns, and you need like, but that's if you do it yourself, right? And like that's 11,500 US dollars. Then you would have to renovate the bathroom. I would say like, because of the size of the house and the number of rooms, then it would make sense to actually get 2 bathrooms as like a second building that is illegal, right? That you would have to legalize too. But on a good day, that's like 100,000 for 2 bathrooms, so that's like $14,000. Then there's no kitchen there, so you need to build a kitchen. Probably I would say like it's a good idea to make like a second, maybe smaller kitchen, right? But that is like maybe 100,000 again, $14,000 US. You can do this a little bit cheaper, right? Then you have the indoor thing, right? So you have like the 140 square meters. Then there's like another room, so like around 150 square meters at least. And that's like without looking at the 2 other buildings that is associated with, right? But if we say like we can fix all this stuff that is like easy to fix, right? And remove and stuff for like 1,000 Danish crowns per square meter, then that is 150,000, or like on a good day, or like 21,000 US. And the outdoor, like the roof is screwed, there's missing plumbing, the water is not getting going away from the property, there's a lot of stuff, right? And then if we do the same thing and say like we can do that for 150,000 Danish crowns on a good day, that's $21,000, then we are at like more than 1 million Danish crowns in renovation cost, and 100, that's equal like 143,000 US dollars. And that's I'm not sure if this can do it, right? I think like it actually might go like double that, which is like kind of like mad. I talked about in the previous video that this is me, right? And this house for me is like a no-go, right? Like I can't get the math to work, right? Maybe you are the savior of this house, right? Do you think you would do this, right? And do you think you have like the skills, the experience, and the knowledge to subscribe to this YouTube channel and give the video a like or a dislike, and then like write in the comments that you bought the house and you're going to make it amazing, and like the thing Palle talked about with like 1 million, you can do it for 5,000 US dollars, right? Write in the comments below. Anyways, in the next video in this series, I'll go check out the house, right? So I have the inspection, and ask them about the fire thing, where those 50,000 Danish crowns on the fire stuff came from. What is it? And yeah, I'll see you.